This is our last pizza review for you with Wild Mike's Ultimate Pizza. It has over 2 pounds of stuff. So what you're going to do is preheat the oven to 400 degrees, bake for 12 to 16 minutes. This is what it looks like out of the box. It comes with some wild stuff. And, yeah. This is what it looks like coming out of the oven. Alright, today our judges are Faith and Monica. How is the mouthfeel?
I give this pizza's mouthfeel a sad face.
Faith?
And I give it a... Afterwards, it's gonna be an adventure.
Monica, what's your crust to sauce to cheese ratio?
The ratio is pretty good, so I give it a more, please.
I would give it a joyful.
Monica, is there any likeness to cardboard?
There's no likeness to cardboard in this pizza because there's too much crust that gets uncooked. So I give it 10 out of 10 for not tasting like cardboard.
And Faith?
It does not taste like cardboard, so I give it 2 thumbs up.
And finally, Monica, how would you relate this to the Bible?
Well, Paul's third letter to the Corinthians would advise them to stay away from Mike's Ultimate Pizza, wild pizza experience.
Faith, what do you have to say about it?
I would say that the wise men would bring Jesus this pizza on his birthday.
Okay, this is the last review for you. River is very upset about it.
It's been a fun adventure, and thank you for joining us on this wild ride. We are so happy not to eat frozen pizza again.
Back to you, Carl.
So having talked to the group who put together the pizza devotionals for us in the last 7 or 8 weeks, they were disappointed in this last pizza. You heard a couple 10 out of 10s on mouthfeel and things like that, but afterwards, all they could talk about was how disappointed they were. They saved this pizza for very last because they were sure it was going to be the best one, considering it said it had like 2 pounds to it. They were expecting like tons of meat. And what really surprised them was that there was more meat on like the Great Value pizza than there was on Pizza Mike's. And so they were just extremely disappointed. They said it's 2 pounds of crust sitting on a throne of lies, I think they called it. And it got me thinking, who do we put our trust in? Who do we trust? How are we going to continue moving forward? Because this is a time when we hear a lot of different people telling us who we should trust, and a lot of different people saying that they are trustworthy. And it's really frustrating. It got me thinking about how in Israel's history and the history of Jeremiah, we hear this sort of story pop up between him and this other prophet, Hananiah, as they are working in Jerusalem and Judah during the time of King Nebuchadnezzar in Babylon. And they're talking about what's going to really happen with Judah. And so Hananiah, this guy who calls himself a prophet, he says everything's fine. Nothing bad's going to happen. But God gives Jeremiah some other words. And this is what he says. This is what God says to Hananiah. He says, "Go tell Hananiah, thus says the Lord, you have broken wooden bars only to forge iron bars in place of them. For thus says the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, I have put an iron yoke on the neck of all these nations, so that they may serve King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon, and they shall indeed serve him. I have even given him the wild animals." And the prophet Jeremiah said to the prophet Hananiah, "Listen, Hananiah, the Lord has not sent you, and you made this people trust in a lie. Therefore, thus says the Lord, I am going to send you off the face of earth. Within this year you will be dead because you have spoken rebellion against the Lord." In that same year, in the seventh month, the prophet Hananiah died. You know, Crazy Mike, he wasn't exactly the most trustworthy person when it seems to have come to his frozen pizza. Nor was Hananiah when it came to the way that he said everything was going to be okay. Babylon was just his flash in the pan country. Because Jeremiah is really right about everything. Jeremiah will end up being right over the course of the rest of the story. And yet people wanted to trust in Hananiah. They wanted to trust that things were just going to be good all the time. And the truth is, God never promises us that things are going to be good all the time, but God does promise that we can trust in God and that God has our best at heart. God hopes for a better future. God hopes for a brighter future for us. So let's put our trust into God rather than in flashy claims made by others, especially certain frozen pizza manufacturers. That's all for our pizza review. Have a good day.